When the clock hit midnight, state lawmakers officially missed a deadline to have a budget in place. July 1st is the deadline mandated by state law, but there is no real penalty for missing it.
But the real consequence is for schools, which need to know the state's funding plans to set their own budgets before the school year begins, which, of course, we know starts in August for many schools, if not September. And that means being able to let teachers know potentially if they have a job or not.
Let's bring in a couple of lawmakers to discuss where we stand on this. Republican Representative Mark Tisdale represents the greater Rochester area, and Democratic Senator Darren Camilleri represents Downriver and Western Wayne County.
And Senator Camilleri, we'll start with you. As chairman of the pre-K through 12 school aid budget, what would you say are the sticking points here to get that budget passed?
Well, thank you for having us today. And, for us, the proposal that we put forth and passed out of the state Senate was one that included record per pupil funding, as well as key investments in the free breakfast and lunch program, at-risk funding, special education, career and technical programs, which we're very proud of and very excited to have passed out of the Senate. The proposal that we saw from the House Republicans about 2 weeks ago was one that basically completely changed the funding model and put a lot of schools on notice that they would be responsible for more of these types of programs and services. So even though we are spending a lot of money in either bill, whether it was the Republican bill or the Democratic bill, the way that you send out this money from the state in both versions is completely different. So I think that there are some major sticking points here on how to actually get to a deal that schools can understand and have the resources that they know will be secured by the time that school starts. I just think that we've got some major differences here that we have not been able to resolve by this July 1st deadline.
Representative Tisdale, being a House Republican, I wonder if you agree with that. And also, how soon until you think an education deal can get done? We've heard the Speaker of the House say he thinks we're very close to getting all of it done.
Well, I agree with the senator that we passed a bill weeks ago that's over in the Senate right now. Each bill passed totals about $22 billion. It's how it goes out to the schools. Theirs is about $10,000 per student. Ours is $12,000 per student. Theirs is loaded with prescribed spending, what school districts must spend the money on. Ours creates much more flexibility, allows each school district to determine what's best for theirs. The at-risk funding, the funding for lunches for needy kids, that's all there. We're just giving much more discretion to the local school districts, allow them to apply the state money as needed in their district instead of determined by Lansing.
Well, Senator Camilleri, what's next then? How are you all working together to try and reach a deal soon?
We're still committed to finding a solution here. I mean, we did miss this deadline last night, unfortunately, but my hope is that we can still get something done prior to school being back in session. So we do have the summer months here to get to a deal. There are a lot of folks in leadership in the legislature who want to create a roads deal and a school budget at the same time. Now, there have been some sticking points on getting to a roads deal as well. So the thing that we're still waiting on, of course, is a regular budget coming out of the House Republicans and their leadership too. So I see this going through the summer, potentially coming back ideally by end of July or August with some sort of deal. And if we cannot do any of that, which is still unfortunately a possibility, we will just have to come back in September and hopefully nail that down by our official deadline, which is October 1st, when the fiscal year officially starts.
Right. And then you get into the dangerous area of a possible shutdown, which I kind of want to ask you both about. But Representative Tisdale, let me just quickly ask you, is there a chance we could do these individually? Like the senator mentioned a roads bill as part of the general fund plus education. But do you think an education deal could come first and maybe put roads on the back burner? Or how do you see this playing out?
Well, of course, there's been a lot of talk about roads for years now, and the important issue here is that roads and schools depend upon taxes collected at the pump. And so until you get that resolved and you know how much of that tax revenue is going in which direction, it's very difficult to address the rest of the funding needs. Again, it's a question of priorities. and it's a question of flexibility and where are these dollars going to go? And in this July 1st deadline, this isn't something that was handed to us by the Pilgrims. This goes back to 2019. But as the senator indicated, October 1 is the end of the fiscal year. We passed an emergency plan to prevent a shutdown back in March. And we've been communicating with the schools. They know they're going to have 10,000 plus per student. They've known that for several months now. So now it's just getting the details down. And that's why roads and schools are connected, because major funding sources both come from taxes at the pump.
So it's what you're saying, what I hear you saying, it's not as dire as you think. And I just want to give each of you the last word for the people that think, they don't want to relive what a shutdown was like a decade and a half ago. But neither of you seeing this getting to that point, correct?
We are far away from a potential shutdown. Yeah, I don't know that we're quite into that territory of a conversation. But the reality is we still have a lot of work to do to close the gap between the various budgets that we have presented for schools. And also we still need to see what the House Republicans prioritize in a regular budget, which means we have a lot of work to get through between now and October 1. Yeah. My hope is we can spend the summer getting to a deal. And if we can't, we'll have all of September to make that happen.
Representative Tisdale, any final comment?
Well, indeed, and it's a question of trying to deliver the priorities with the existing tax structure. We don't need any new taxes. The school budgets and the overall budget have grown much faster than the rate of inflation in the last 6 years. The federal money from the COVID, there was a $9 billion surplus at the beginning of 2023. There was $5.5 billion in COVID relief to the schools. That money is all gone. So we've got to get back down to the nitty gritty. What are our local taxpayers putting in, and how do we deliver within those parameters?
Well, we know both of you are working hard on it, and we appreciate the update this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
There you go, an update on your budget process, which, as we know, can be contentious, but
it didn't seem contentious to me, but it does seem like they're far apart right now.
Far apart, and yet we did hear from the Speaker of the House that even though they missed the July 1st, quote unquote, deadline, they do feel like they're somewhere in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So.